Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. Hi everyone, it's Mike here. So while I was editing the video for this next volume of the dolls page, I realised that I've actually been numbering the pages incorrectly. In February I named this one number 7. I then consequently went on to name that number 8 right the way up to the page that I'm doing now. It's actually that's wrong because I've missed a page. This one. This was the one where I showed you how to colour the dolls using the Faber-Castell Pitt pens. Technically that's number 7 and that one is number 8. So I don't know why. So technically the page that I've done today, this one which you're going to see in a moment, is actually page number 15, but in the sequence on the playlist it should actually be number 14 because I've numbered them wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call this one page number 14/15. Page 14 and page 15. So there you go, we're back up to the right number now. Whoops. So I'm back with my volume of the dolls journal. So this is page or spread number 15. Very, very few left to go now. And I thought today, the sun's shining, Ian's out in the garden cutting the grass on the lawn. So if you can hear a buzzing noise in the background, that's what it is. And I thought I'd just come up and have a little bit of a play today. Now, I discovered in my cupboard of resources all these distress spray or Distress Oxide spray that I'd forgotten I had. I'd forgotten I'd bought them. Some of them have still got the wrappers on. They've never been touched. Like the peacock feather one here. It's still got the cellophane around the top. Antique linen, still unopened. Twisted citron, unopened. Vintage photo, unopened, which is totally and utterly like me for buying something and never using it. Wilted violet, totally unopened. Spiced marmalade. Oh, well, it's got the cellophane on, but I think I have actually used that one. I think I just pulled it down. Oh, and picked raspberry, look. Still got the cellophane on, never opened. So I thought I would create an art journal page today using those distress, I can't speak today, but Distress Oxide sprays. But I've also got this big pile of stencils. Now these are stencils that I've used recently in projects or put to one side ready for putting away after using, that I've just not got round to actually putting away yet. So I thought I would just dig into this little pile rather than going through my entire collection of stencils to see what kind of effects we can get using the oxide sprays. So that's what I'm going to do today. So obviously I've pulled out just a couple of Timmy's Little People. Let me just stand those up inside that tub as well so they're not getting in the way. So I've got, let's see, I've got that little couple there, I've got the little chappie there, and I've got this lady here, which I think I'll put together as well on that side. But I've also got this one here, which is the mother and the son, which I'll maybe put into the background a bit further that way. So I think that's what I'm going to do with those today. Again, I've got these out, but I just hadn't got around to putting them away again. So I'm just using stuff which is on my desktop in the periphery area. Glue sticks, that kind of stuff. I've got some white gesso, I've got some black gesso, and I've got some clear gesso if I need it. So I'm just going to go ahead and start playing. I've got no real idea as to what I kind of want to achieve with this page. I've no real image in my head of what I want it to look like. So it's just going to be one of those craft along and just let's see what happens, and let's see how the sprays interact with each other, and then we'll see what kind of effects we can get with the stencils. And I've got some baby wipes that I can also use maybe if you want to do some ghosting or whatever. So let me just shake up, because they've been stood up for quite some time. I know you're not supposed to shake them top and bottom, or at least make sure the lid's on properly. Give them a real good shake up, and then we'll see what we're going to get. So I don't know how long this is going to take to pump, so let's, there we go. So that's the peacock feathers. So let me dry that first. It shouldn't take too long to dry, because the paper in the book, just turn that off for a second so you can hear me properly. The paper in the book is quite absorbent, very, very porous, with it being book paper, book text. So it won't take long for it to soak in and to dry. That's pretty much it. And because I've stuck the pages together, so there's 2 or 3 pages all stuck together, the thickness is going to protect the pages underneath, so you're not going to get any bleed through either. So let's see what colour we've got here. We've got Twisted Citron. So again, that has been opened. I see there's a bottle in there. There isn't one in that peacock feathers. It's a wee bit odd. And this is supposed to be a ball in all of them, and it's been stood for that long, but it's just not. Well, I don't know. Right, okay, so let's do a couple of blasts. I'm trying not to get. There we go. See, I was trying to avoid that and getting it all over my hands and clothes. I should have one of those spray booths, really, shouldn't I? Do with a splatter guard. Right, see how that's already started to soak in and create like coronary effect around it and separate. So there's obviously some blues in that Twisted Citron as well. It's interesting because I've not added any water to this yet. Okay, so let's pop the lid back on that and move that to one side. Let's see what other colours we've got. Let's try that vintage photo. So there is a ball in that one. Let's take the cellophane off. That should just slide off now. Make sure the lid's on properly. Okay, let's add a little bit of that. Little squirt there, little squirt there, little squirt there. Maybe just a little squirt there. You see how it's going straight into the page? You actually are getting some oxidisation already happening without even trying. Okay. So let's bring a little bit of warmth into it. We've got fired. Let's bring a little bit of orange in. So spiced marmalade. Just make sure the lid's on. There must be a ball in that peacock feathers there somewhere, unless I've got a duff one, which wouldn't surprise me. Okay, let's see. I'll leave the book down. It's, yeah, they're coming out in circles. Which is quite interesting. Yeah, and I missed there, look. It's one of the reasons why I don't like them. It's probably one of the reasons why I've not used them. Because they get everywhere. It's like the dilution sprays. Not the biggest fan of those dilution sprays. I love the pigment. Love absolutely the colours and the stuff from Diane Reevely. But they're just so blooming messy. They just get everywhere. So in the time it's taken me to clean that up, that orange is kind of dried, but I'll just give it another quick blast over. Another Ranger heating tool nearly on the blink. They don't last 5 minutes, these things. Not built to last, I'll tell you that much. I know Ranger are supposed to be the market leaders, but crumbs, they're not out some rubbish. Right, let's add some pink into that. So, picked raspberry. Again, I haven't used that one yet. So let's just remove the cellophane. So I'm cutting it just underneath the black lid, so it just pops off. Make sure it's tight. Give it a good shake. And I think with this one, rather than spraying it, I'm going to put some droplets. Seems quite bright and vibrant, doesn't it? Right, let's bring back that vintage photo and do the same thing. You know how I like my splatters. Okay, so just lift that up where those splatters have escaped. Okay, let's give that a blast. And I'm just going to keep on adding the colours on top, just to get, you know, different kind of effects, or something. That one's a bit stubborn, isn't it? There we go. So that's dried. I think I want to bring that peacock feathers back in. Doesn't appear to be a ball in there at all, does there? Get that dried. So it's giving us a kind of circular, globular kind of feel to it, almost like a lava lamp, which I don't mind. So what else have we got? Fossilised amber, I think. We'll try a little bit of that. And then we'll bring in these stencils. Right, so this is separated completely. I can see that from the bottle. So let's just give it a good shake up. Make sure the lid's on properly. Shake it to wake it. Okay, let's see what we get with this. I'm going to stand the book up. It's just vanishing into the page. You can barely see where it's been, look. So I'm sure you get different effects on different paper. Come on. That was the last of the wet wipes. So by the time I probably put that page down, it's probably dried. No, I've still got a few wet wipes left. Yeah, it's kind of knocked everything back, that fossilised amber. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring back some of that blue again. This time I think I'm going to use the broken china. So it could be the fact that even though they look like they're dry, they actually might not be. Which is why they're kind of oxidising on the page straight away. And it's not like there's a lot of water in the atmosphere here. It's not particularly humid today. Let's have a look. What does it say for humidity today? Let's see. Humidity. What we got? %62%. Maybe. It may be down to the humidity then. Okay, so let's just go. That's the broken china. Broken china. Yeah, it's kind of vanished. Bring that twisted citron back while it's still wet. I'm just going to add these colours together. Stay away from that. Fossilised amber again and a little bit more orange. And that should do. I'm not going to add any more. Maybe a little like overkill. I've got some sitting on the surface there, look. Which is interesting. But it has kind of turned into a milky kind of mess, which is alright. I can live with that. I've just got to remember that any kind of moisture that I put on the page is going to reactivate it. So I'm going to have to use dry glue, and if I add any kind of gesso, white gesso, that's going to react with the pigment. Just have to bear that in mind. Bear that in mind. Okay, so stencil wise, what have we got? Have a flick through. I've got Harlequin. So I've got the wet wipe. So let's see what happens when I just whip through with that. See if we can lift. See what happens. See what kind of effects we get with that. I'll put some of that over this side. So just rub gently with the wet wipe. You can see the moisture there, and then we'll do some more down here at the bottom. Okay, let's get that dried and see what happens. Okay, so I had the heat gun on those areas and nothing seemed to be happening, so I think actually that's the effect you're going to get. You're not going to get anything different. So I'm bringing out a second stencil this time. I'm not sure what this one's called, but it's from Indigo Blue. And I'm not even sure whether or not they've got this on their website, but I'm just going to lay it across, and I'm going to do the same thing again with this wet wipe. Because we've got those kind of circular patterns from the spray nozzles, let's see if anything comes off on that. So it's a very kind of like subtle effect. Can't really see it that much. So let's do one of those big ones down here. Maybe I need a fresh wet wipe. Let's try that. So it may be actually lifting the top oxidisation. That's better. Yeah, I can see it getting darker underneath now. Yeah, you can see a bit more of the pattern. So I'm just going to do another one of those at the top there. So the wet wipe has pushed the oxidisation to the edges of the pattern on the stencil, and it's created a kind of outline. Okay, so it's subtle. Subtle, very subtle. Okay, so that's dried. Again, like I said, pattern's pretty subtle in there. So what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of darkness just into the background. So we've got writing in the background as it is, so I'm going to add some more writing. This time I'm going to use a Dina Wakley stencil. This one's called Affirmation, and instead of doing the writing going that way, I'm going to do it going this way. So we'll do it up at the top, but I'm going to use ground espresso, which is a dark brown, and an ink blending foam, and I'm just going to gently go through the stencil, just adding in some of those random letters. I know it does actually say stuff, but I don't actually want it to be too coherent. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit down here. I want you to be able to sort of read it, but not quite read it, if you know what I mean. And then we'll add some more up here. There we go. I think I'm not going to add any more of that text, although I might just use that Harlequin stencil again and just mirror that a little bit with what's left on that foam. Just dirty it a little bit, just so you've got a little bit of darkness showing through. Not much left on that ink. I might just have to revitalise it a little bit. Nothing's really shown up there. That's better. Just take that into the page and then just do a little bit coming down from that right in there. Yeah, maybe just make that a little bit darker. Just lining the stencil back up again. That's it. Okay. Tools away. Let's just give that a moment just to dry, and then I'll be back. Okay, so that's had a little bit of time to dry now, and I've still got some of that oxide spray up there, look. Not clean at all. Thought I'd cleaned better than that. There we go. Right, so next thing I want to do is just to add some water splatters. So I've got a little bottle of water here. Now I have to label these up because if you get them mixed up, you get different effects. So this one's got water in. So I'm going to just add some random water splatters across the page. Now I don't think that this is actually going to do much, because I think the oxidization process has already happened. But I'm going to take some kitchen towel anyway, and I'm just going to lay that across the top. Look, and there's virtually no water being lifted from that at all. It's already soaked straight into the page. Yeah, it may cause some oxidization. There might be a few bits appearing here and there, but nothing major. I'd need to really give it some splattering, so that's okay. I'm going to leave that as it is now. Alright, so my Timmy's Little People. I did say that I was going to put them kind of there in the background, them there about there, and I was going to put those two about there. So those gaps where I'd left were specifically for those people to stand. So I'm going to just put these on with ordinary dry glue. By dry glue I mean glue stick. But for once, because I've used the Distress Oxide sprays, I'm not going to go over these with clear gesso to knock back the shine. I'm going to leave the shine. Although it's not, I don't particularly like it, sometimes you have to kind of like bite the bullet and think, well, okay, if I try and remove the shine, it's going to affect the rest of the page, and that's not good. So the good outweighs the bad, or the bad. The needs of the one. To quote an old Star Trek phrase. There we go. So let's put her and him in the background a little bit. So it looks as though they're further away. A little bit of perspective trick. Now the reason I'm using the glue stick rather than PVA is the PVA takes too long to grab and hold, and sometimes it does buckle the paper a little bit. Okay. Glue on there. And then we'll just add a little bit there. Alright, so I need to put some pressure on that just to make sure it's grabbing for a little while. So I'll do that. Hold those down just until they grab, and then I'll be back. Okay, so they've dried pretty flat now. So the next thing that I would normally do on one of these pages is add some shading under the feet, just to kind of give them a little bit of grounding. Now to do that I would normally use a Stabilo black all pencil, but I'm not going to do that today. I've actually got, or dug out my collection of, excuse the pencil case, I'm just a big kid after all. I've actually got some Derwent ink tense pencils. So these are the water soluble pencils. So, and I've brought out a couple of shades of brown. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently, with that pencil, I'm just going to colour kind of in between the feet and just create a little bit of grounding with that pencil. there, and then just up here, and you can bring that down a little bit just to give it a sense of depth and shadow maybe. And then with this one, foot hasn't stuck down properly, but that's not too much of a problem. There, between the feet there, and then just extend it off to the side. And then I've got a darker pencil that I'm just going to create a few just darker bits towards the back. Like so. And then there. Just kind of mix it a little bit, just to create that ground. Okay, now I'm going to come in with my pencil, and I'm just going to activate the colours. Now, because we've got oxides on there, I'm expecting that they're going to react a little bit differently to how you would normally expect. I kind of thought that they may disappear a little bit. So I'm going to give that a bit of a dry, and then I'm going to go back in with a, no, and just that one. No, that's just an ordinary pencil. Good if I didn't use that one. You do get what's called an outliner in these sets. Ink black. And just very, very subtly add some of that dark black, because it's kind of disappeared into that background. Sunk in a little bit, as it were. Right, now let's see whether we can persuade that to stay a little bit further on the surface. There we go. Just turn it around, that way I can manoeuvre the ink down. The colour down a bit. Just push it with the pen. Brush, I mean. Told you I wasn't with it today. Right, let's get that dried and see what that looks like. Okay, so I'm liking that, but I want a little bit more brown in there. So we'll add a little bit more brown. And then we'll just activate that the same. That's more, I like it. That's more what I was looking for. Yeah, happy with that. So we can put those Inktense pencils away now. Dust them up again in another year. I'll get that dried off. but then I'll be back. Okay, so happy with the way that's looking. I just want to add a little quote onto the page. So for the quote, I've gone to my Tim Holtz clippings sayings, and I've pulled the perfect one that I think will work excellently on there. So what I want to do, even though it's sticky, I want to add some more glue to it, because sometimes the glue or the stickiness on the back of these doesn't hold when you're putting them onto a surface that's got things like the oxide sprays on. Sometimes they just peel straight off, and that's not what I want. Okay, so that I'm going to put just there. And it says, "Will you promise never to leave me?" Which I like. And I'm just rubbing my finger over the top just to dirty it up a little bit. And then I'm going to bring in my Uniball, my Signo Uniball gel grip, which is a fine point ballpoint pen, gel pen, which pretty much writes on almost anything. But also is permanent when it's dry. Needed a little bit more glue on that end. There we go. And I think what I'm going to do is I am just going to add another little trademark scribbly border just around the page, just to finish it off. It's my favourite type of framing border, because you don't really need a lot of control or a lot of skill to do it, but it just adds a certain something to your page. If you can manage to do it. So I'll just travel along and then just do little scribbles every so often. You see the gap where the clip's been. That's okay, doesn't matter. You can just randomly add your little squiggles or crosses if you want to. You can put little circles in there. But it just adds a little kind of finish to it. And it also brings that black from the inside to the outside, so it kind of gives the page a little bit of balance. You can also, if you wanted to, add your black splatters on this page, or white splatters, but because we've got the oxides on there, I don't really want to do that, because I don't want the water to react in a strange way once we've actually finished the page. So I'm going to leave that as it is. And I'm happy with it. I'm actually happy with the way it looks. I'm happy with the colours, I'm happy with the balance with the characters, and I'm happy overall with the way the page looks. So all I'm going to do is just sign it down here at the bottom and put today's date, which is the 9th. Is it the 9th today? It is the 9th of May. I keep forgetting it's Saturday, isn't it? With this lockdown and quarantine, you really do kind of start to lose track of what day of the week it is. So it's Saturday today, because one day just pretty much is the same as another. So I hope you've enjoyed watching that art journal page come together, page number 15, as I said, and we have literally only got like 2 or 3 left in this journal. So I really need to start thinking about what I'm going to do when I get to the end, because I've still got lots and lots of Timmy's Little Peeps left. Maybe volume 2, and I've said previously in the past, but you know, well, we'll see, we'll see. So anyway, as I was saying, hope you've enjoyed watching that. If you have, please remember to give the video a thumbs up because it really, really does help. Share the video with your friends if you're so inclined. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, there you go. You can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I will see you all again next week. Bye for now. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.